Oh, look at that too. Jeez. Man, SOG. Doing it to me again. Ugh, SOG. Just can't win with you when it comes to multi-tools. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're taking a look at the SOG Flash MT or SOG Flash multi-tool, based kind of in loosely off of their iconic Flash pocket knife, but giving us EDC-friendly multi-tool. And they're hitting and aiming directly at the beloved Leatherman Skelletool. I've had a version of this in my collection, I don't know, going on probably 6 years now. You can see the love and wear that this particular version, a limited edition, has on it. It's a great, light duty, EDC, if you will, pocket friendly multi-tool. It's a lot easier to carry and kind of feels more like a pocket knife than it does a multi-tool. And so it's obvious that with this design, that's exactly what SOG was going after. The Leatherman has 7 tools. This Flash MT has 7 tools. It has a deep ride pocket clip. It has, a compact design and basically is shooting exactly for that market. So I was like, well, hey, I love my Leatherman Skelletool. Let's see what this Flash MT has. I always go in with an open mind, always wanting to modify, tune, and get better, hone my systems and the way I carry and use equipment and gear. Well, right out of the gate, I'm gonna tell you that this is by no means on the same level as the Leatherman, even though it's going for about the same price. The Leatherman Skelletool currently with the 420 HC version goes for around between $70 and $75, which when I first got into gear, they were like 50. So inflation and just cost of doing business lately, I guess. And this SOG MT is also going to be right around $70 to $75, just depends on where you pick it up. Throughout this video, if there is a gear item between the two that you want to pick up and use and start putting in rotation, I will have links to both the Skelletool and the Flash MT in the description box below. Appreciate when you guys use those hyperlinks. Now, with that, we're going to dive right in, and the main aspect to me that was just an immediate no-no is the design with their gear. And if you know anything about SOG, they have this little gear mechanism that's supposed to give you I can't remember, double the leverage or whatever to cut through material. Now, the pliers themselves and the teeth to cut through wire work as they should. And particularly for a light duty deployment and usage, absolutely. The problem comes into, because of the way these gears are designed, you have to open the handle so far to even get decent size, 12 gauge wire through to actually cut. And it's very awkward, and because of how big and fat and bulky this is and how thin and slim that is, you don't get very good leverage, and you have to go almost twice as wide per, I don't know, millimeter, if you will, as the Leatherman does because of these gears. Now, if you can get it in there and you snap it, it'll cut no problem, but the issue is it's just not comfortable. It's not comfortable, and I have big hands, large size hands. It's not comfortable to try and stretch that sucker all the way out like that, get your piece in there, and then squeeze down and cut. You have to go extend your hand a lot further to get the leverage that you need to apply pressure than you do with the Leatherman. So if you have small or medium-sized hands, it's gonna be extremely difficult to spread the plier head open wide enough to grab any size bolt and or fit in wire to cut. Now, something else you may have noticed in that original shot is the blade. Oh, look at that too. Jeez, man, SOG. It has now popped out a few times in my hand while I'm trying to put down leverage. I don't know if that's a defect. I don't know if that's just something in the overall design that is a failure, but I could easily have sliced my hand twice and I caught it because I was paying close attention throughout the video. Otherwise, I may have a Band-Aid on my hand right now. So just the ability for it to stay in place, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's getting bumped by the thumb stud while I'm trying to manipulate the pliers, but that is dangerous, and I am not pumped about that. And that's happened now 2 or 3 times to me in the course of a weekend of use. Now, the blade itself is a little bit smaller at 2.4 more than what you're going to be getting on the Leatherman Skeletal. It is D2 steel, so you are going to get an overall longer edge retention than the 420 HC of the Leatherman. So if edge retention is extremely important to you, you will see a better edge retention than on the 420. Now you can get the 154 CM on the Leathermans. That'll cost you a little bit more, but I would argue it's a better steel overall. And if I had a choice between the D2 and the 154 CM, I'd go with the 154 CM. Now SOG loves their assisted opening, and this blade is no different. This has a spring-loaded feature on it. It works pretty well. You know, snaps out, no problem. The thumb stud is somewhat slim because they're trying to make it flush with the body. So if you had big gloves on or something, you may miss it from time to time, but it's not overly obnoxious and doesn't create a hot spot. There is a little safety right there. Red is dead, so that's how I've been using it and deploying it. So, I mean, you know, we could argue with the pliers and it popping out. If I put the safety on like that, then in theory, at least the blade, I'm trying right now, would not deploy when I'm trying to use it, but I don't want to have to always be doing that in order to use the pliers maybe. And again, could be just mine is slightly, I don't know, temperamental, but that's not good for me and for, you know, my usage. So decent little blade, didn't have the greatest edge on it, had some trouble with paracord, but all the other material I went through didn't really seem to have an issue. And though I'm not a massive fan of compound blades with half serrated, half not, the hollow grind on the Leatherman is insane. And if you really want a plain edge, you can again get the 154 CM style blade. This will just be wicked, wicked sharp and has a higher relief edge than what you're going to be getting out of the box on the SOG. So overall, the performance is better for slicing with the Leatherman than what you will get on the SOG out of the box. The SOG blade does have a decent liner lock, but classic SOG, it's wobbly and rocks all over the place. Which most SOGs do for some reason in their pocket knife. Not as much anymore, but I mean, that's kind of like, you expect that. Whereas on this guy, a lot more solid on the Leatherman lockup than what you're gonna be getting on the lockup on the SOG. Now, one kudos for SOG. I do appreciate that they have way dialed down the branding. You can barely see it there. It just says in very low print, you know, SOG and then SOG, whatever. And then it says Flash MT, but it's almost unnoticeable. And then just a very small branding on that blacked out loop over pocket clip. Now the pocket clip is also much better than on the Leatherman. The Leatherman has a higher, you know, ride, so it's easier to grab, but if you're considering this more of like a light duty tool, the loop over design does work really well on the SOG, and so that's also a good benefit for riding it inside your pocket. And it will be 0.3 ounces lighter at 4.7 over the 5 ounces that the Skeletal is, and it will be about half an inch shorter than the overall length of the Leatherman, and they're about the same, you know, thickness. So slightly smaller, slightly lighter by just a little bit, so it has a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller footprint in your pocket than the Leatherman will. Now I know you guys are looking at that blue and you're like, what's up with that? We'll get to it in just a second, but there is this tool right here. This is the bottle lifter, and you could argue something of a pry bar slash large Phillips, or excuse me, flathead screwdriver there. And it does the job, it's fine, but it doesn't actually lock. The only kind of, it's like a slip joint, but the only tension that I feel is here at a 90. There's no like snap into place like you'd think of like a Victorinox or something like that popping into place. It's just loosey-goosey around here, and there's no tension. So I mean, I can just flick that thing all day. It should have had some tension right there to like keep it in place, because on certain angles when I was trying to do certain leverage points to turn a flathead, it was kind of wanting to move around on me, and I had to hold it in a very particular way. Otherwise, it wouldn't do anything because of the type of tension and lack thereof in this case on that. So it's another aspect. Now on to finally this. They do have a very small, this is polymer lanyard hole that you could fit a lanyard through if you did want to do that, and that gives it a little pop. This is their blue, or you could get gray, so if you want a more blacked out kind of neutral tone, you can get that. And then we have a polymer pop out. I don't know what else to describe it. It's supposed to give you some leverage and feel probably a little bit comfier than the razor, almost, not quite, but very sharp edges on this. There are some very abrupt transitions. You can just see there how thin and abrupt that is, and then up here how thin and abrupt that is. You don't really get that on the Skeletal. There's none of that there. It's all flush. Again, the Skeletal is by no means like super ergonomic, but it's more ergonomic than this is. So they're trying to alleviate some of that with this kind of rubberized polymer, and then you have like this little trap door with seated rather snugly. I haven't had it fall out yet. I believe a 4mm bit. I don't know if you guys can pick up on that. It says 1/8 of an inch. I believe it's an 1/8 size. Flathead and or Phillips. That, if you know anything about SOG, they have the little magnet in here. You clamp like this, and then you have basically a dead-on, screwdriver. So in theory, it's supposed to work. I've had now 3 different, I believe, SOG multi-tools. This is the first one that actually held the bit in place, so that's really good. The screwdriver is so small though, that with average size screws, if you're like just needing to tighten something, say on an ATV, like what I was looking at just a moment ago and what I'm running in for you, the bits on the Leatherman can easily engage with that Phillips head screw and then unscrew it and screw it back in. This cannot. It will either damage the bit or strip out the screw or even not connect with your average size screw. So it's got to be a pretty small screw for this to even function, and then you still again have to squeeze and turn. So I mean, yeah, maybe if you're like adjusting your eyeglasses, maybe a pocket knife you're working on or something, but any sort of generalized screws that you're going to find around your property, around your house, on your vehicles, this is not going to be able to engage with them and then do them. And then obviously the flathead, unless it's a perfectly designed flathead, it's not going to engage with a Phillips head either. So this basically cannot really work that well on, I'd say 80% of Phillips head screws or bolts that you're going to encounter in your daily living. The Leatherman can. And one more aspect to add on as well, if you haven't been able to pick up yet, Leatherman, still made right here in the USA. The Flash MT, made in China. Well guys, there you have it. The Flash MT has not knocked the Skeletal off its pedestal of being kind of top dog in this blending of like an EDC pocket knife and a compact multi-tool. Skeletal, in my opinion, wins easily. It's not a competition. One hand tied behind his back, it's able to do it. So that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. If you own one, what's your perspective on the Flash MT? Am I missing it? Are there aspects that I missed that you have questions about? I'd love to do my best to answer them for you guys in this comment section below. I invite you to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.